Hello and welcome to Retfurb. So on today's video we've got this Yamaha RXV390 RDS stereo receiver. I'm just going to do a quick overview. I've actually done a small service on it, just cleaned the potentiometers as best I could. They're quite hard to get inside, to be honest, but I did go over it. I've just checked it all over, it's all working all okay. So yeah, let's get into it. So with this receiver, I've listened to various music through it, different genres of music. I always do it through the same set of speakers that I do all the rest of the tests on and the rest of the reviews, which is Bowers & Wilkins 601 S3 or S2 I think I've got upstairs, but basically the same speaker. I always do it for the same one, just so you've got a bass line and you're not changing speakers and potentially having a different sound just because of speakers. So I always do it through that speaker, and then I know that there's no sort of alteration from speaker sound. So with this receiver, it's a nice solid looking receiver. Everything feels pretty good on it, to be fair. It seems to be built pretty well. There's no issues with respect to that. I did do a quick service on it, just a basic service, just cleaned some of the controls, although it was quite difficult to get into some of the potentiometer, so I'm not exactly sure how well it got in there, but it all sounds okay. With regards to sound, I would say it's on the bassy side compared to some other units, and it lacks detail. It's not to say that it's a bad amplifier receiver, but I would say it's more of an entry level, if that makes sense, compared to some of the others that I've listened to. I always go on about my TA1150 amplifier, which is a 70s amplifier, which I love. And I think that one's a little more detailed, even though it's older compared to this. It just almost sounds a little bit drony, if that makes sense. It's not, that sounds bad really, but it isn't a bad receiver. It does sound pretty good, but I would say on a lower end scale, comparing it to obviously higher end stuff, it doesn't compete with that, but that just goes without saying. You know, you can pick probably one of these up second hand for around £50, something like that. In a reasonable condition. So for the money, it's definitely worth looking into. You know, I don't like slating anything on the channel. I don't like saying anything is rubbish unless it really is really that bad. But it's ideal, you know, for someone who wants something which is, you know, produces reasonable sound, but is not at the higher end cost-wise. You know, it's a good unit. It sounds a bit distant when you're listening to some songs. It sounds like they're almost in the not in the other room, but they sound a bit far away. It might just be the songs, maybe, I don't know, but just through it, it just doesn't sound quite so, I don't know, just so detailed. Like when you listen to certain songs and you've got like higher pitched sounds, it doesn't tend to pick them up quite so well. But, you know, it still sounds alright. I could still listen to it. I could still have it on with, you know, in my office I've got a Sony ES amp, which is obviously a high-end amp, and that sounds really good and I can listen to it all day long. I don't know whether I'll be able to listen to it all day long this. On a lower to mid volume, I probably would, you know, it'd be fine for that, but I think cranking it up too high, it starts getting a bit draining. But yeah, it sounds like I'm putting it down, which I'm not. You know, it'd be fine. It's a, like I say, if you're spending £50 on it, and you know you're not expecting it to be like high-end sounding amplifier receiver, then you'll love it. You know, it's a good amplifier receiver. But if you're buying it thinking, oh, I'm going to spend 50 quid and it's going to sound absolutely perfect, you know, all the details are going to come out, then you know you'll be disappointed. But like I say, for the price, it's definitely worth the purchase. It's all digital display for the receiver and tells you what option you've chosen, you know, whether you've got CD, tuner, phono, whatever. You know, you've got different tone controls for treble, bass, balance. So there's quite a lot of different functions on it, which makes it ideal. You know, if you're connecting quite a few different things to it, it does make it good. The connections on the back, you know, they're really good connections. I like the speaker terminals. So yeah, I mean, for the price wise, I would definitely recommend it. Like I keep saying, don't expect it to sound like a high-end amplifier receiver, but for the money, I think it's a good buy. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I hope this helps someone. I hope it's given a bit of an idea what it's like. I know I've waffled on a little bit, but yeah, I hope that it gives you a better idea when you're looking at potentially buying this stereo receiver. And if you can get it for a good price, then yeah, I'd say go for it.